got Doomsday Download.
Welcome to another episode of the Doomsday Download. I am Talon, and sat way across from me in another part of town right now is the man in too much red leather. It is Dill Devil himself. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Doing pretty good. I'm really, really excited to obviously be doing this, having our time to sit down and dive into superhero shows. I know like people are kind of in a weird space with superhero shows right now. Some people are loving them. Some people are hating them. But there's still some real bangers out there. And I know you must have some favorites that come to mind, right?
Of fucking course I do. Actually, when you suggested this as the topic, I was like, fuck, have I ever watched any superhero shows? And then actually think about it, I was like, oh yeah, I have ones that I love, some that I watch regularly that I just didn't think about.
Yeah, they're total comfort watches. In fact, I had an idea of some that would be on your list. One I think might even be your number one, but I won't spoil anything. I want you to have the
I think you know what my number one is going to be, but yeah, we'll see.
Ooh, exciting. So yeah, we're going to get to that. We're also going to be talking about Invincible and just kind of figuring out what needs to be saved to the hard drive for the end of the world. But before we can get to that, we have the question of the day.
I'm ready for it, dude. You said this one was going to be hefty, so I'm looking forward to it, and I'm wondering if it's going to be very philosophical.
It is, dude. This is a real barn burner. So here we go. Okay. There are two categories for this question. There is the $1 million category, which is you fight a hero's sidekick, and if you defeat them by whatever means necessary, knocking them out, killing them, whatever's on your plate, then you win the $1 million. If you lose to them, you spend a year in prison. So that's the stakes there. Or you face off against a superhero of your choice, and you can win $10 million if you win, or spend 10 years in jail. But I will say, the same way that your code applies to you, their code applies to them. So if you're like, I'm going to face off against the Punisher. He's a guy with a gun. Yeah, he's a guy with a gun who's happy to kill you. So just keep that in mind.
Okay.
Also, some rules. You can't psych them out like they know you're a threat. And I was going to say, oh, you get a weapon. Here's the thing. You get one weapon, and if you pick something that has ammunition, I will give you 1 round for it, whatever it is, of your choice. And then obviously you still have the thing as a blunt weapon once you're done with it. But those are the ground rules. First of all, let's start with what category do you want? Do you want a potential sidekick for $1 million or a year in jail? Or do you want the superheroes for $10 million or 10 years in jail?
So I was going to go sidekick, but I'm going to go the actual superhero. And here's why. Because I think that no matter what, you need one bullet for Daredevil. I think that probably the mistake that people make is that they're getting up close to him if they have a gun. And if they aren't getting up close to him, or like maybe they're approaching without a gun, they think like, oh, he's a fucking blind dude. I'll use a sword or some shit. And then they get fucked up, obviously. But like, just put me some distance from Daredevil with a gun.
Yeah.
And like, even if I'm a bad shot, as long as I hit him somewhere,
Right.
I think I have a good chance.
Yeah, so you think even if you, like, clip him, you can kind of wear him down from there. He's slowly bleeding. You kind of win the fight over time is your hope.
Yeah, and let's say, can I choose any weapon? Like, could I just fucking, like, toss a grenade at Daredevil?
You sure could.
Okay. Yeah, then I'm going to go with that.
I mean, I feel like he's so, from what I remember from the show, he's so tuned in. He would hear the pin pull. He would hear you, like, releasing the clip, throwing it, and then he'd just kick it back in your face. So that's the risk you're running. Are you aware?
Okay, let's do this.
Okay.
Do I get to choose the venue?
I'll let you pick the venue.
Okay. Then I'm going to say we are on a beach next to the ocean. That way the waves crashing, like maybe he won't hear the grenade. The sand, like it's not going to, the grenade's not going to like roll right past him. You know, I'll toss the grenade and then see what damage that does and then hopefully finish him off.
Wow. Damn. Okay, and then at that point, you're just going to wail on him. Is your hope to kill him or knock him out? Or, like, where are you with it?
I thought I had to kill him.
No, I was saying it's your code. So if you want to just knock someone out, you're allowed to do that.
Yeah,
I
I
thought
got
you were
no
just
code.
like, fuck it. Okay, yeah.
I got no code. I'll fucking murder that dude.
Who needs fucking Daredevil, dude?
Yeah, I think that it would also be super sad if I lost, and it'd be like the most embarrassing reason to go to prison.
Yeah, it would be. Like you threw a bitch-ass grenade at Daredevil, and then he still whooped your ass on a beach.
Yeah.
It would be a story to tell.
I threw a grenade at a fucking blind dude, and he still kicked my ass, sent me to prison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He got away scot-free. Meanwhile, you're just like, 10 years, huh? Wow, I really should have picked a sidekick. This is a mistake. Yeah, okay,
All right,
so
what's
that's
your
good.
answer?
I like that. I like that a lot. So yeah, I will say that I thought about this. I only feel confident in fighting the sidekicks. Even Daredevil, I'm like, that dude has shown he could stand up in a fight. So I'm going to take my number one pick, which is the boy wonder, Robin. So for $1 million, I think even if he's like a spider monkey and he's kick flipping around and everything, I think I can hold him down. And my plan that I came to was like either a military grade cattle prod, which is like reinforced and really strong, or, and this is one that I really like, and it kind of comes back to the Daredevil thing, bear mace. So I wait for him to get close, and I blind the little fucker, and then I just wail on him. And my code is I don't want to kill him because, like, even if I get the $1 million, I feel like you then have to live the rest of your life as the guy who killed Robin. So I'm like,
Yeah, that's a good call.
yeah, maybe I just, put him to sleep. But yeah, that's my plan. But equally, like you, if I lose, dude, there's a lot on the line for my pride.
Yeah, for real. Especially like against Robin. That's like that's the most pathetic.
Yeah.
Robin sucks.
He does. He really does. That's
Easily
why I
kicked
picked him.
both of our asses.
I know, dude. It's so true. Well, and I thought about it too, and it's like he's so often actually like the damsel in distress for Batman in the classic show. So it would be even funnier to be like, yeah, I didn't even need Batman to come help me. Like this 31-year-old dude came lurching at me, and I just like crippled him and put him in jail for a year. So that's good. I like that. Okay,
That was a
so
good
we've
question.
got Robin and Daredevil. Yeah, thanks, dog. Okay, the next burning question is, what do you think about Invincible? So a little behind the scenes, I prodded you before we got on today, and I said, hey, have you watched Invincible? And you were like, not yet, but I'm going to check it out. So what are your early thoughts?
Yeah, so I will say going into this, I thought like the very few things that I had heard about Invincible, I thought that it was tied to the boys universe. I don't know how I got that impression. So going into it, I really knew nothing about it. It also, like, I am so much more willing to give an animated show a chance a lot of the times versus like a live action, at least if I'm hopping into something new that I haven't hyped up. So, yeah, I think that was nice going into it with that. I will say I only watched the first episode, so all of my impressions are just going to be off that first episode.
Cool. Well, give me your early impressions, because for sure we're in the second season now, and a lot of people, I think, have watched that first season. It's pretty popular. I'm not casting shame at you. I'm just saying that, like, you're a little late to the party. So you can say whatever you want about that first episode. What'd you think?
Yeah, so not knowing anything about it, I also didn't know, like, the cast that worked on it. So I was super stoked on that. Love J.K. Simmons, love Steven Yeun, Sandra Oh is great in it. That's really all I've been exposed to in the first episode, but was super stoked on that. Steven Yeun, just like having him as the lead is very exciting. He is a great actor. I'm a huge fan of his. So that was a lot of fun. I also thinking, going into it thinking that it was tied to the boys universe, I was expecting it to be very like gritty and violent. And I love how it wasn't until the last scene, which is just fantastic.
It sets itself up almost as like a traditional like DC animated universe or Marvel animated universe. But yeah, you're right. In that last little bit, it's like, no, check those expectations at the door now. We're going to get a little fucking bonkers here.
Yeah, and I love the character models, the animation. It's a very old school like G.I. Joe animation, and I love that.
Oh, yeah. That's actually one of my favorite things about it, too. Like you were saying, like cartoon animations, especially superhero era kind of stuff, can be it's kind of run-of-the-mill sometimes. And I do feel like this one has a very specific look to it. And it looks really smooth, too. Like, it's not choppy. It looks very, very professionally done.
Yeah, now I do just want to ask, so the opening scene, has like a security guard played by John Hamm.
Okay.
Does he come back at all in the show? No spoilies?
No spoilies, but I will say I don't remember any more John Hamm. In fact, I'd forgotten that he was in it until you said that, so that's probably
I kind of love that. I kind of love that they just threw him into like one scene just for the fun of it, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I was all about that too. Once I realized that he's kind of a nothing character, at least I assumed was kind of a nothing character.
Yeah.
I liked that as well. I like John Hamm, but I like that, like, if you can only get somebody for a minute, just capitalize on that and, you know, throw him in one scene.
Was he the dad in the father and son duo from that first episode?
Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome. Yeah. No, I think maybe, now that I think about it, there was one other time that he pops up. But again, he's a super small cameo. Just to let you know, I'm not going to spoil who they are, but there are some really cool characters coming up. I don't think you've seen Jason Mantzoukas yet, right?
No.
He's part of the show.
That's exciting, though. Like, one of my favorite voice actors.
Yeah.
And just one of my favorite improv comedians. I really like Jason Mantzoukas.
Yeah, and his character's super good and super memorable, and they don't just go like, here's 2 minutes of Mantzoukas, we're going to blow him up with a bus now or something, you know? Like, he's
Right.
part of the show, so... Yeah, and what did you think? Going back a little bit to the big finale, that's the one thing I think that when people watch the show, they like... It's the same way with The Boys. You can tell by the end of the first episode if you're going to stick around because it's so insane. So what did you think of that?
Yeah, honestly, so I liked the show anyways, and like I can't emphasize enough how big of a selling point Steven Yeun was in it, just because like I really enjoy him in pretty much everything. So yeah, I think I was already on board, but I was, you know, kind of wishing that my assumptions were true, that it would be a part of the Boys universe just so it would have that grittiness. And then when they do a super late title card in this. It's like 40 minutes in or something.
Yeah.
And then they followed up with a very small portion of the episode and then that scene. And when that happened, I was like pumped to just continue because that was the grittiness I was looking for.
Yeah. Dude, I'm so glad you said that. I felt the same way. We're a lot alike in this, where like, a good superhero show or movie, we are totally down for. We're all in. But we're not going to be sold by just any old thing. So I was on the same page. When people were like, you have to watch this show, incredible. I was like, all right, I guess it's on Amazon. Like, I don't have anything else on Amazon I'm going to watch right now. You know, The Boys is done at that point. So when I finally checked in, I was like, all right, this is cool. I like it. And then that shit happened. And I was like, oh, that was brutal and fucking awesome. And I need to see what is going on here. And dude, I'm telling you, it's a show that doesn't let up. Like, it's on my list of top superhero shows for a reason. It's only been a season, but it's like an unrelenting, unbelievable season. And like you said, dude, the performances are just like, you're in the hands of such excellent performers that you're like, oh my God, just layer on the J.K. Simmons, layer on the Steven Yeun. Like, it's so good. I'm so glad you're starting it.
I'm glad that you said that because I don't think that I've ever heard you talk about this show before, and that the way you're looking at me, it feels like maybe you did and you have a memory of a time that you mentioned it to me.
It could have gone in one ear out the other. These things happen. We talk about everything together, so...
That's true. But yeah, so for me, like, I didn't realize how big of a show this was and thought it was just going to be kind of a, you know, Amazon Prime one-off.
Yeah.
So hearing how much you like it and that it made your top 5, that gets me pumped for the rest of the season.
Yeah. You should be. It's really cool. And I will say, just kind of spinning over to the other half, now that season 2 has started and it's 2 episodes in, I'm really happy to say that it has kept its momentum. The quality of the writing is still there. They're doing a thing right now, without spoiling for you, but kind of to let people who are watching it know, like, they're doing a thing that is a pretty common trope right now, especially in superhero things. But even as they're doing it, I'm not like, oh my God, they're doing that thing. I'm like, this is going to be one of the best versions of that trope, because that's how much I trust the writer's room for this. I'm pretty sure, too. I mean, I'd have to double-check this, but do you remember seeing if Seth Rogen was a producer on this, too? Because I know he does The Boys. He's a producer on that. But yeah, he's a voice in the show. I forgot about that. I won't tell you who he is. He's coming up for you. But also, he serves as an executive producer for the series alongside his partner, Evan Goldberg. So that's the other thing I love about it, man, is it just, you can feel the handprints of people on it who are like, no, we are genuine nerds, and like, we have used our Hollywood pull to only make a good show. Yeah, and so I think I'll just say that, you know, as everyone is watching it, so they're doing it kind of weird for the second season. They're doing the first 4 episodes, and then they're taking like their, you know, mid-season break, and then they're going to come back 2024 with the back half of the season 2.
Okay.
So I'm hopeful it'll come back quick. I don't know how the strike or anything impacted being able to record lines or how much they had of that done. But it's, yeah, by all indications, it's like going to be a thrill ride. And I've seen some people talking about it online who have like read the comics but were careful about spoilers. And they were saying like, yeah, get ready for something brutal at the midway point. Like there's something extreme that happens. And I'm like, that's exciting. That's the kind of spoiler I can get behind when someone's just like, I'm not going to tell you what it is. Just get ready for something insane, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm down for that. Yeah, those mid-season breaks, they're always kind of hit or miss because you know that they do ramp up the story in order to, you know, get you hooked with that mid-season cliffhanger, which sometimes can fuck up like the foundation of the writing or the pacing for an entire season.
Yes.
So as long as they do it well, I'm on board for that. But I also have to finish the first season anyway, so I have plenty to consume.
1,000%. Hopping right along from Invincible. Hopping's not great. Flying right along from Invincible?
Nice, dude. Soaring with our magical flying powers.
I like that. Yeah,
What a great segue.
Thanks, man. That's what I
No,
like.
mine. I said it.
Oh, yeah. No, yours was, you know what? It was a 10 out of 10. I liked it.
Okay, well, you know, don't make me force it out of you, but yeah, whatever.
All right, it was a 6 out of 10. Anyways, we are going to get into the best superhero shows now, shows you got to watch. We're going to find out what our top picks are to save. I've been kind of running at the gums, obviously, just kind of giving a lot of love to Invincible. So I want to hear from you, dude. What is your picks for honorable mentions in this category?
Well, so that's the thing. I didn't come up with any honorable mentions. Nothing so special that I needed to honorably mention it. Mm-hmm. So I guess let's go back to you, dude. Your honorable mentions.
Your honorable mention is my honorable mentions? I like that.
That's right, okay. Dude. Oh, actually, you know what? I will do an honorable mention. Okay.
Do it.
Luke Cage had a season on Netflix. Mm-hmm. It was the last show that I forced myself to finish, regardless of how I felt about it. And man, I fucking hated that show.
So it's more of a dishonorable mention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, I finished the whole thing, so honorable mention because I watched it and can have a full opinion on it. It was garbage. I hated it.
Yeah. You're a very honorable man for suffering through a show that you hated.
Thanks, dude.
Okay, here are my honorable mentions. Doom Patrol, which was on my list at one point, but I took it off. And then these next two, honestly, I think are going to surprise you because I think they're going to come up on your list. Batman Animated Series and... I don't need to say what the name of that one is. People just know it.
Wow, dude. Okay, cool. What a cool way to deliver that one.
You knew what it was, right?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
X-Men, the animated series.
Oh. So, Doom Patrol, I tried one episode and fell off immediately. I'm sure it's fair. Really good. I keep hearing that it's really good, but I still fell off.
Yeah. And it doesn't sustain quality. That's honestly why it didn't even stick on my list. The first season I really loved. But then, dude, second season, way off. And then by the third season, I was like, I don't even need to keep watching this. So, you know, kudos to the first season. And I really love the cast. I mean, it's one of the early roles of Brendan Fraser coming back.
Yeah. Yeah. And his character was so goddamn depressing.
Speaking of depressing, Are you depressed about either of those honorable mentions?
Actually, yeah, you were right that one of those is going to pop up on my list here later.
I thought so.
And speaking of lists, let me use my laser sight to uncover my list for my number 5, which is Watchmen.
Whoa, nice. I didn't even know this was going to be on your list. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so Watchmen, it was actually like kind of hard for me to get through. I don't know why. Like something about it wasn't like grabbing my interest at the end of each episode. And yet in those moments when I was in those episodes, they did some really unique and creative stuff. And so I had to put it on the list just because it is one of the few that I actually made it through, enjoyed, you know, and saw that it was doing something different.
Yeah. Did you ever read the graphic novel?
I won't say I finished it. I read a lot of it and really enjoyed it, but it is so long. So I didn't finish the whole thing.
Okay, all right. But you got a good sense of it. And also, I'm sure you had seen the movie that was like 2007 or whatever.
Yeah, which I think was like Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was pretty good. I really like Tim Blake Nelson in the new one. I mean, he's great and everything, but yeah, in this, his character, it's just so well executed.
Yeah. So, full disclosure, I watched a couple episodes of that season 2, and I was watching it with family. And then when I stopped watching it with family and was like doing my own thing, I had no interest in going back. But honestly, dude, people were talking about it. I mean, like, maybe it's just us because a lot of people were talking about it as like one of the shows of that year. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, I mean, it is one of those things where as I was watching, you have those moments where you're like, holy shit, I've not seen, another show do this. But then I wasn't I wasn't overly enthusiastic to keep hopping back into it.
Right. It's perfectly placed for you at number 5. It's not like higher than that. Okay, I fuck with it. This is my number 5, and I fuck with it too. The Umbrella Academy. So fun, dude. The characters are so out there, and I love the backstory of... So it was a comic written by Gerard Way from My Chemical Romance, and it's clearly made by someone who read a lot of comics and had a vivid imagination as a kid and was like, I'm really excited to tell some weird stories. And I like the cast, man. Honestly, like, I don't think that every season's plot is amazing or worth revisiting, but I do really love the cast. They carry it for me. The characters carry it for me. And they're, like, dynamic. Like, there's brothers playing off each other and, like, all the siblings and everything. And Elliot Page is in it and a bunch of other people. And it's just, it's cool, man. It's a well done for Netflix. I was like, hey, golf clap. Good job.
Yeah, no, I agree. Honestly, if I had remembered Umbrella Academy, I think it would have been my number 5 as well. Candy and I watched that through together and really enjoyed it. That
Past
soundtrack
Predators.
did.
Yeah. Oh, my God, dude. Especially, like, when they get into the back in time, the 60s.
Yeah, they knocked that one out of the park. Okay, my number 4, The Boys.
Wow, number 4 for you. Okay.
Yeah. Now, I haven't caught up on The Boys. That's one of the shows that's just, one in a handful of shows that I'm like 1 or 2 seasons behind.
Yeah.
For no other reason, just that I'm overwhelmed by the amount of shows I'm behind on, so I haven't opted into any of them.
Yeah.
But goddamn, I enjoy that show so much. That is one that I'm definitely overly enthused to hop back into after each episode. And Jack Quaid, you gotta love Jack Quaid, dude.
I am so glad you said that. I've honestly, when I started watching the show, didn't know he existed. I think like many of us. And then I was like, this guy's really good. And then I saw his name and I was like, that's a weird name. And then, yeah, in looking his backstory up, I was like, oh, Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan. Okay. Yeah, this guy's got some chops. Like, that's pretty awesome.
But the pull for you is that his uncle is Randy Quaid, right?
Oh, my God. Yeah, of course. I mean, they were like a, side piece to Randy, you said? Yeah, Randy.
Randy Quaid. Yeah, the hyper-conservative dude from Christmas Vacation. Yeah. All the vacation movies.
I didn't know he was hyper-conservative.
Yeah.
I've really backed myself into a corner on this one.
Dude, you gotta just look up a picture of Randy Quaid now. He was also in Independence Day, but just look up a picture of Randy Quaid and look at how insane he looks now. So that's great, dude. I love that your hero's nephew is in The Boys and that you enjoy it for that reason.
Yep. I guess I'm backed into this one for now. I'm going to find a way out one of these days. Yeah, so that's good. So that was your number 4, was The Boys. That one's higher for me, but I'll get to it later. Number 4, I don't think you've even watched this show, so I'm happy to tell you about it. Harley Quinn.
I have not watched that.
Yeah, so it's an HBO like original, and it has another great voice cast. Dude, it has J.B. Smoove as the fucking talking plant. Like, that's the level it's on. It has Ron Funches as, like, King Shark. It has Kaylee Cuoco as Harley Quinn. And it has Lake Bell as Poison Ivy. So, like, top to bottom, the cast is insane. Alan Tudyk is in it as multiple roles. So,
damn.
Yeah, it's a murder's row in its own way.
Dude.
That's right.
Come on.
So, it's really good. It's really well animated. I really love it. I was never a huge, like, mainline DC kind of watcher. I gave this one a chance, and it speaks to me for a reason that, a lot of these that you're going to see speak to me, which is it's just, like, really violent and doesn't pull any punches and is, like, crazy and lewd when it needs to be. And it's fun. It's a ride.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. And that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, apparently.
Okay, my number 3, bro. TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Nice, dude.
A lifelong favorite for me. The original series, grew up watching it. Love everything about that show. Like, the first few episodes, the pacing and the clunky dialogue is, pretty ridiculous. And a lot of the series that like branch off of that have those same issues.
Right.
But it's just such a fun, positive franchise.
Hell yeah. Who's your turtle?
And nothing makes you want pizza more than watching TMNT.
Oh my God. I want to just hearing the word pizza. Who's your turtle of choice?
Actually, let me go back and just say that the Goofy movie. Do you remember the Goofy movie?
It better have something to do with your turtle of choice. I've asked you twice now.
Okay, but we're getting into specific things. Do you remember the Goofy movie?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, do you remember the pepperoni pizza in the Goofy movie?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that
good
might
shit.
make you want pizza more.
Huh?
But TMNT, the original series, for me, always makes me want pizza. Super bad.
Yeah.
It's the best iteration of pizza.
Dude, cheesy, delicious. I'm with it. Who's your fucking turtle?
I just wanted to see if you would ask me again. So my favorite's always been Donatello, and I understand that everybody rags on Donatello because he's like the nerd of the group, the smart one.
Yeah.
But, that's something him and I have in common. We're just the smartest of all the people around us.
That's what you think. You're both still in a sewer. So is he the one?
I also
Stick?
barely got that sentence out, so...
It's true. Yeah, you might be the rat for all we know. I don't know. Is Splinter right? I think it's Splinter. Is he Stick Guy? Donatello?
Yeah.
Pretend I'm a guy who's never watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, he rocks the staff, and he's always the one that kind of gets them out of a jam with his like creative little fucking ideas. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I always liked him for that reason, but I also just thought that, and it's probably also the way that they animated it, the combat just looks so much cooler for him because he had a staff.
That's awesome. Yeah, and you said that you watched the newest movie, and you said that was fucking great too, right? Just for people who like that show.
Yeah, the new animated movie, which I think was also Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, is fantastic. Yeah.
Nice.
Anybody who likes TMNT, check that out.
Dude, it's so fun for those dudes. They're just in there like, live out their 80s and 90s childhood fantasies, basically. And like, I love that growing up. I'm going to make a bunch of stuff about it.
Yeah.
That's sick. Okay, moving along to my number 3. Fucking love this show. I hope it's on your list because I know you saw it. Peacemaker.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude, it's so fucking good. I wanted to put it higher on this list. It does suffer from only having one season so far, which kind of limits it. But damn, man, talk about a show where I had no expectations coming in, and I left like, this is setting a lot of standards for shows that follow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I love that you said that. You know me, I do not hop into any live action superhero shit, like ever. It takes a lot for me too, just because I get super bored by that stuff. And Peacemaker, I watched at your recommendation and fucking loved it. I was so into it. And I'll just say it's my number 2 since that's next.
Nice.
But yeah, loved it. John Cena, I feel like I was kind of indifferent about him, and this made me a John Cena fan.
Yeah.
So yeah, loved everything about that show. And just that opening, the theme with them all dancing.
Do you really want to taste it?
Yeah, it's iconic.
Oh man, it's a never skip. In the same way that like I'll watch every time the Big Mouth theme is on, those are rare shows that I'm like, no, this is part of the show for me. You can't get me to skip it, you know?
Yeah, same. And that song's just stuck in your head for fucking 3 hours.
Oh my God, dude. Like, honestly, the next week, what gets you salivating most for the show, you're like, I'm not going to get the theme song this week. Oh, man. Yeah, it's crazy good. And yeah, I totally agree. He wasn't on my radar. I was always like, okay, he's another wrestler who's doing the acting thing. Maybe he's going to just go kind of the Rock path, you know? But no, now I'm like, that dude has a ton of charisma, and I want to see him continue to do stuff, namely this show.
Yeah, no, 100%. It seems like the role that he was born to play.
Yeah.
And the humor in that show, it makes it so fun.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so since you gave your number 2, I'm going to give my number 2, which we've already started talking about earlier in the episode, as people will remember. Invincible. It's so fucking amazing, dude. I think honestly, maybe what edges it out over Peacemaker for me, number one, I think like the entirety of the cast, like you said, is so bonkers, like feels like it couldn't even exist is one thing. And then the fact that they're doing it with animation. The fact that it's like it's an art form on top of like making TV, you know? Which I'm not saying like TV can't be art, but I am saying that people who went to school to be artists and then they got out and they were like, I want to draw animated cool shows. And they fucking kill it, man. Like, every detail in it is so good. I just rewatched it, the first season, in preparation for the second season coming out. Also because it had been like 2 or 3 years since the first season came out. And rewatching it, seeing those little details again, picking up on little things, I'm like, this is a labor of love where people are truly like, we want to deliver something that no one will forget, that people will get hyped for and want to follow for a long time. We don't just want to crap something out because it's like, well, I guess it's July again, and that's blockbuster season, so what can we put out that's kind of in the zeitgeist? Like, it really feels like people care about this, and I'm so happy it exists. I'm so happy to be watching it, and I'm glad it's available.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, like I said, that just gets me so pumped for finishing the season. Okay. My number one, dude. I know you've been waiting for it. Only made your honorable mentions, but it's Batman the Animated Series.
I knew it would be.
And I knew you knew. And so it's really fucked up you did that to me, dude.
I'll never forget it, and I hate you.
Yeah, so Batman the Animated Series, that was kind of my real intro to Batman growing up. Now, I won't say that it was the first thing I had seen. Michael Keaton's Batman was the first thing that I had seen, but this, having something that I could watch with this character that I instantly fell in love with, and having it so perfectly executed was amazing. Growing up watching this was just like a treat. The animation is fantastic. The writing is fantastic. I will say, going back to it now, it does feel very claustrophobic because it's the type of animation where only the main like focal points are fully animated. Everything in the background is, you know,
hazy,
they do like
blurry.
a lot of like silhouettes and stuff. Yeah. So it's like kind of harshly animated. So it does feel a little bit claustrophobic for that reason. But beyond that, it still holds up. And I think that show started in 1990 or 1991, and going back and watching stuff like that, it is a time capsule for the type of writing that was coming out, going into projects like this back then.
Yeah. I mean, that's the true era of like a labor of love, because it's like you had to hand draw scene by scene, cell by cell. That was not like, oh, I put this in the computer, it helped me gloss over some of the parts, you know, any of that. There's no shortcuts. Yeah,
exactly. Obviously, some great like animated Batman iterations since, but this one is still king.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, Kevin Conroy, right?
Yeah.
No, he's fucking awesome, dude. That performance is insane. Getting to play the games, the Arkham games, and have him be the voice is like such a gift, you know? Like, he's great.
Yeah.
And same for Mark Hamill. He was the Joker on that. Yeah. So that's it's mind blowing, dude. It's just like, you know, these dudes. A lot of people, like you said, that's their go-to. Batman and Joker are those two voices.
Yeah, no, 100%. And there's like a decent amount of it too, because this is when, you know, seasons were like 20 something episodes.
Yeah.
So it's still a nice treat to go back and you know, dig into the pile and just pop out a random episode.
Yeah. No, that's a great pick, and I'm glad you picked it for the nostalgia's sake and everything. And like you said, you've rewatched it since, and it holds up. I will say that I didn't have that layer of nostalgia, so when I went back and watched some of the episodes, I was having a good time with it, and I was enjoying it. But at the same time, there are some parts that feel a little dated, just by like, you know, I can't help myself. I'm in my mind thinking of the animation I can see now and that kind of thing. So for that, I think it didn't quite like excite me the same way that it should have, the way it did for you and people who grew up watching it. But it doesn't mean that I'm like, oh, fuck Batman. I'm like, no, it's legendary. It's the reason that so many of these shows get to exist at all, you know?
Yeah, so I'm glad that at least you respect it.
Hey, man, I might not watch it, but all the respect, you know, 100% to the grave. Anyways, my number one show. Do you have any guesses?
Yeah, I know what it is.
Yeah, you probably do.
Yeah.
Okay. It's The Boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Surprise.
pretty easy to...
Yeah. It's the wildest fucking, least restrained, balls to the wall fucking thing I think I've ever seen on TV. As far as TV shows go, like, I think it has no breaks. And somehow, dude, the cartoony, over-the-top violence never ceases to amaze me. and I love those characters. Dude, the fact that Homelander is one of the biggest scumbags, like, committed to TV, and yet he's still such a watchable and engaging character, it just goes to the credit of the show that they weren't like, okay, we have to hang, the importance of this show on evil Superman. Just remember, everybody, it's evil Superman. It's like, no, fuck that. He's his own thing. This is like, what if Donald Trump had superpowers? That's this guy,
Yeah.
And it's like just phenomenal. Everyone, like you said, the cast is so great. The storylines every season are engaging. Every time it's over, I'm sitting there like, fuck, now I have to wait a year or whatever, for them to come back, So,
Yeah.
that's huge.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a testament to Anthony Starr, to his character. Like, just the way that he plays that role is perfection. Yeah, I mean, he might be even easier to watch than Randy Quaid's nephew.
Sure. Yeah. Although, obviously, Randy Quaid is a bigger fan of Homelander than his own nephew, but...
True. Probably, yeah.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. So are you back on, like, season 2? Is that where you probably wrapped up with it?
No, I think I watched them crash into a whale. So whenever that was.
Yeah, that's like the middle of a season.
Season 2?
It's maybe the middle of season 3, but I don't think that's. I don't feel like that's the very end of one of the seasons. But anyways, yes, I'm excited for you to get back into it. There have been some bigger characters who have come along and some cool shakeups. And like I said, it's kept its momentum. That's the reason it's number 1 for me. Also, is like it's on season 4 or it's coming out with season 5. One of those two. Either way, it's been impressive every time. So I recommend it.
Hell yeah, boy. Well, that gets me pumped to get back into that, too. I honestly need a push to get back into that. I'm okay with starting new shows, but all these shows I'm behind on, I, won't get back into them.
That's the problem.
I'm a broken man. We know it.
Yep, we're all addicted. What can we do? But those are our 2 picks, man. The Boys,
Batman the Animated Series. Those are going on the hard drive, everybody.
Nice. Yeah, those are good ones, and I think that'll satisfy the 2 opposite sides of the spectrum of superhero fans, which, we're all about that here. Sometimes.
Yeah.
This week, we're all about that.
All right, my boy. I want to get into our last segment, which is Binges on the Fringes.
Yeah.
What you binging, boy?
Oh.
What you watching? What you reading? What you playing? What you doing?
So, let's see. I'll just say quickly that, man, I'm still digging Alan Wake 2. I know we touched on it last week, but I am like 11 hours in, and it's blowing my mind. I want to play Baldur's Gate 3 whenever that finally comes to Xbox, because that's the only question for me of Game of the Year at this point. From everything that I've heard from people, it's like it's either going to be Baldur's Gate 3 or Alan Wake 2, and I'm obviously right now I'm obviously in Alan Wake 2 camp because it's insane, dude. How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I'm at the same spot, man. I am really loving it, and I've only played a little bit since we last discussed it. Well, I probably played 4 or 5 hours, and still just so into it. It is also scratching that completionist itch for me, going around and solving all the puzzles, all the kind of little optional things. So I'm liking that a lot and still playing it. And also, I did want to just speak to what you were saying about Baldur's Gate. I never had a desire to play it just because I'm not a D&D guy. Mm-hmm. But yeah, everything that I've been reading about it since it got that Game of the Year nomination makes me pumped. I want to play it too. I didn't realize it was multiplayer either.
Yeah. Oh, dude, we're going to get too invested. It's coming. Get ready.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
Okay, for my binges on the fringes, I have been mentioning books that I've been reading in the last few episodes, but I'm just going to do that again. This book, The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. Nice. It is the first of a trilogy. I think it's the First Law trilogy. It's dark fantasy, super gritty, super violent. This dude just knows his way around prose, if you will. Ooh. Just very well written, and I'm really enjoying it.
That's sick. Have you read other stuff by him before now?
No, so this is where I hopped in, and I hopped in a little while ago, and I got 30 pages in, and then fell off, because I'm usually reading a few books at a time, and then after reading The Jungle and All Quiet on the Western Front, and very real, depressing stories, I wanted to hop into fantasy again, so I hopped back into this, started from the beginning, and I've just been fucking loving it. I could not recommend it enough.
Okay, that's fucking awesome. Yeah, I'm going to go find it then, dude, because, I love that kind of shit like we just talked about. I love gritty and off the wall and crazy, and I could definitely be down for some of that.
Hell yeah, boy. All right, that leaves time for one more thing. Let's tell the people where they can frickin' find us, dude.
You can frickin' find us on Instagram at
Doomsday Download Pod.
and you can find us on Instagram doing little funnies and bits and telling you about all the stuff you got to play, and that's at...
You meant TikTok, and that's
Oh, yep.
Doomsday Download.
I meant TikTok. And if you want to write to us about how I'm forgetting words at the end of the episode, then you can do that at...
doomsdaydownloadpod@gmail.com.
Beautiful. You were spot on perfect. I had my hiccups, but you know what? We'll get there. So yeah, I guess with that...
I love you. Oh, no, wait, that's not our sign off. I love all of you. If you're on your way to work, have a great day at work.
And if you're on your way home from work, I hope you had a great day.
Night-night.
Night-night.